Good night, everyone, and thanks for joining us again to another episode of Study It by STUDY7.
Right, nice.
Tonight we're talking about a topic that should be relatively interesting, which is what should evangelism look like in 2026?
Maybe this.
Maybe this, maybe this. But before we get started, Jerron, you could offer us a word of prayer.
Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for another Sabbath where we could discuss your work. We pray that you will guide our conversation and that people will come in, have discussion, and we learn from each other. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, guys. So before we get deep in the conversation, just a quick reminder that if you want to join our conversation, feel free to make comments in the chat and we'll bring them out on the screen. Or if you have my number, feel free to send me a voice note that we could play and add it to the production so that we could have your feedback as part of our discussion tonight. Okay, so as the topic says, what should evangelism look like in 2026? The gospel never changes, but maybe our methods should.
Indeed.
Yeah. So my first question.
Well, I guess before we go there, we should start a centered discussion on what Jesus instructed us to do.
All right, Brandon.
And in Matthew 28, verse 19, it says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." And so we get that instruction from Jesus to go into the world and make disciples of people. The question is, how do we do that now in 2026?
Yeah, and for those of you who may only be seeing us here on the stream here tonight, we also have a special guest in the background who doesn't need to be shown on camera, but you'll hear his voice. But yeah,
On camera, shy.
to you guys who are on and also for us here, Jerron,
Yeah.
what should our evangelism look like in 2026? In your words.
Yes, that's interesting. I think the first thing that comes to mind, though, in terms of our evangelism, it needs to be technology based. We live in a sort of technology age. So I think some of the old methods that we might be using, I won't bash the work that we do, but I think the door to door still has its place.
Yeah.
But I think we also need to place some emphasis on technology, distributing media via WhatsApp or Instagram. And because I think it will change also the demographic of people that we attract as well. I think that's one starting point for us.
So I guess a little opening thought to get the ball rolling. If Jesus had to walk through Barbados in 2026, would he spend all of his time inside the church waiting for people to come, or would he go where people are?
He definitely will go. I mean, he used to go where people are all the time. And the Bible tells you to sit down with the tax collectors and the more or less the sinners, essentially.
Yeah.
So he used to associate with people. So we got to go where the people are at.
So you're saying that he used to mingle.
Yeah.
He's a sociable guy. So
Indeed.
he be doing oysters, playing dominoes and eating a fish and chips and interacting with them, mingling with them, fostering a relationship with whosoever may.
Yeah.
Specifically in an effort to evangelize, or that was just more of who he was as a person, a sociable guy.
That has to be part of evangelism, creating the relationship. We always talking about, we have to have a relationship with God, to grow in our faith or whatever. If we're trying to bring people to God, we also need to have a relationship with them. And I think Jesus recognized that. He spoke to people. Look at Zacchaeus. He went to his house.
Yeah.
He associated with them in order to win them over. It didn't just start with hey, good evening, I'm from the Bradford Life Church, or that's Wizzy. You're going to the community on a regular basis. You find out the needs of the community. When Jesus worked, he used to feed people and also preach to them. It's not enough that we just go and preach to them.
So you must have food. You must have food.
And it's physical food as well as spiritual food. I think the two go together. I think we need to meet needs as well. Physical needs as well as spiritual needs. It can be more or less one or the other. I think the two sort of go hand in hand.
I would say that evangelism should be relational, not just event based. So people looking for like relationship before they want to hear a sermon, right?
Yeah.
This is something that is often spoken about I don't know that we do it as best as we possibly could, but we are supposed to befriend people, build relationships with persons before we even potentially introduce them to Jesus or whatever, right? The goal is to have a relationship with someone. Now, Jerron, if me and you, I don't know, we play tennis every Thursday, and we've been doing this for a little while, and I invite you to come to this event that I'm hosting, you're more than likely willing to attend, seeing that we would have created a bond over the playing of the tennis on a weekly basis.
And sometimes there's things that are unrelated to church.
Yeah.
And then you can use those things to draw people back, you know?
Exactly. So you're more likely to attend this event that I'm asking you to come to, seeing that we have already developed a relationship over the past so much ever weeks or months or years, due to the fact that we play tennis together on a Thursday, right?
Yeah.
It is oftentimes less likely that your friend or this person you have a meaningful relationship with would reject your offer to come and attend this thing versus someone who doesn't have any relationship with you whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I feel like to get the ball rolling, that needs to be one of the most important things that we have before we go about evangelizing, which is a relationship with people. And it can't just be because, we got this thing coming up, so we get outside for 6 weeks to now suddenly create said relationship. I feel like it should be something that's genuine.
I wouldn't say we generally go to create the relationship either. We necessarily just go to invite. We just go to tell people, we have a program coming up, but we don't go to say, we looking to have these other things which relate to invite you to outside of the program, or try to have community-based programs that would get people involved in the church. And then there's always that question that people ask, if the church in your community was supposed to disappear at this moment, would the community miss it? And I think in many cases the answer, and it's not only an Adventist church thing, it's probably for
church on the whole.
People generally see the church as sort of absent in this day and age, unless the church looking for something essentially.
That's an interesting point. Do you really think that people wouldn't miss it though? Like, you're not gonna hear the organ on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning, depending on the denomination. So and you get it, and you uninterrupted. You don't see any people in interrupt clothes.
So now you're saying that people generally be relieved. So and they're missing it, they're just relieved. So I think that's a little different.
So what are some things that we could potentially do to foster relationship as a church with, let's say, the community?
I guess look to see what the community interests are. Try to form relationships. Sometimes it's easier to form relationship with community-based organizations. So sometimes, I guess, as a church, we try to formulate everything ourselves, but sometimes we could work through certain community-based organizations. I don't have any offhand, but working through certain organizations to bring that awareness of the church in and of itself. And you get the community involved that way.
I feel like doing things that are seasonal or topical or applicable to a particular time is something that could be done to sort of form a relationship with community. So let me say school starting about in September, I believe. And so that all the parents can be trying to get bikes and uniforms and haircuts and hairstyles for the girls and what's his name? Pencils and stationery and whatever else. So like things like back to school is a good opportunity for churches to sort of engage with their community, because more than likely you're in a space where there are children, there are parents, and those persons will be more than likely prepping to go to school come the new school year. And that's an easy opportunity for churches to start to develop some level of bond with persons in their community.
I mean, you could even go as far as having an event, but
event is
during a church service, maybe invite them to, to hand out these gifts or whatever. So at least they get a chance to experience the church while you also do the community service. So
And they would say they, I guess a lot of churches
Yeah,
do something of that nature.
do that. Yeah.
I was floating the idea in my head sometime about setting up like some barber stations in the car part of the church, and then some boys come and get their free haircuts
For school. Yeah.
for school. But the problem is for me, you gotta find men who ain't barbers because during that time period, that's peak season for barbers.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they probably got some church members who could provide a decent haircut. That could be beneficial to a lot of families and communities who
might not be able to afford that.
Yeah,
at a point in time. Yeah.
But I was watching something this week where a barber was saying, well, about the school, the hairstyles changed, right? So once upon a time, when it's about school, you get all off.
Yeah.
Right. So ain't really that much skill for the man to provide not all off to the school boy.
No, everybody trying to
trying to get taper fades and thing and all that. And I don't know if the church members might be that technically skilled to deliver the haircuts that might be required right now. But that's one side of things. But a lot of people might still be really happy to get all off.
Yeah. But I think outside of that though, something I was just thinking about just now. We always talk about, everybody needs to go and evangelize, whatever, but we pay attention to person that may be introverts in the church. I think we feel as though everybody is able to go and do the same thing, and we might not necessarily use people where their talents are at. I think we just assume that because Jesus did it, you could do it too. But I don't think Jesus was an introvert.
Fair. To take at this first point, I would say that all in all, evangelism requires relationship. Question to you guys online and also to Jerron and whoever else wants to replay. Has someone ever influenced your spiritual life simply because they cared about you?
Interesting question.
Like, it's easier to be influenced spiritually or in any. We got a question in chat. We're coming to that. Coming to chat shortly. It's easier for someone to influence you spiritually or any other way, to be honest, if they care or if they showcase that they care about you. That's something that we agree with, we don't agree with. Chat, Jerron, yes, no?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so simply put, if it was up to me, evangelism should be us showcasing care to others before we even get to talk about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You got a comment coming in.
This question in the chat, let me see if I can bring it up. I believe so. Yeah, just turn on your mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, go ahead. Okay, talk. No, not yet.
That was some technical difficulties. Yeah.
Place. You flick it up. And just plug into the third hole there. All right. Well, we got that. Sorry, out.
Switch.
Just give us a minute while we fix this technical
testing.
Yeah. Okay, lovely.
Oh shit.
All right, cool. You can make your point and then we can go to the comment.
I really had a point per se. I was listening to the wonderful discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I have the privilege of hearing it live. And my question is, I guess, to you guys and the chat, based on what is being said, is the question really relevant? Meaning, what should evangelism look like in 2026? As opposed to, why has the church and evangelism gone away from what it's supposed to be? Because the answers are being given are things that has been done by Jesus and what we are required to do.
And so we think we're moving away from that
it seems that way. Because if the answer is going to be, or one of the answers is going to be, we need to show care, we should be doing that.
Yeah,
We should have been.
doing that.
should be
Right.
standard.
We should be a lighthouse in the community.
Yeah,
The people should know us.
All right.
If the question is asked, if the church closes down, is the community going to miss the church? The answer should be yes. So the fact that we having this discussion is showing me personally that we have gone away from the mandate given to us to make disciples and to preach and to teach.
All right. I feel like I got some comments on that, but Jerome, you want to address the question in chat first, or are we pushing forward with Tristan's comment?
yeah. So I guess, well, the question in chat's from Chelsea. I'm asking what's the definition of evangelism. So, Googling the definition of evangelism is the act of publicly preaching or actively sharing the Christian gospel, which is the good news of Jesus Christ's life, death, and resurrection. So, I guess that ties back into what we were saying, especially the part where it says actively sharing. The question is, what is actively sharing the Christian gospel looking like? And I guess that's what we're addressing right now. So we're not addressing the publicly preaching part, which is the first part definition. I think we're looking more at the actively sharing. So what does actively sharing the gospel look like? I think it should come through how we live our lives, how we interact with persons, how we interact with our community, and ultimately that is the way we will to draw persons. The preaching thing, we got that covered to some extent. Is the actively living out, you know?
I feel like you missed at this point though. So we do all of this to do what? To get what goal?
Yeah, to bring persons into the faith,
Okay.
the Christian faith.
Okay.
So should we, or can we, are persons who are able to, should we go out in the community outside of church service times and preach? Like there are persons you will hear like in tongue,
Preaching.
the speaker, and then preaching.
All right. My question to you is, how many of those persons you stopped and listened to while they were doing so?
The last one I can remember that I heard is actually an Adventist guy.
And you stopped and listened?
No, but I listened while walking.
He didn't listen.
You don't have no choice but to hear while walking unless you're putting your earpods and put them on noise canceling. So that don't really count. It was in your hearing as you made your way.
So again, that's the sort of the publicly preaching. So maybe definitely give is the act of publicly preaching or actively sharing the Christian gospel. So that's the publicly preaching part. My question is, what we doing about the actively sharing, the living out the Christian life so that others can see the example?
Well, I agree that it is the way that we live our lives on a daily. So whether we're at work or at school, our life should be a living testimony or example to those around us.
Yeah.
That one, Jesus is real. Two, he works and he answers prayers and that kind of stuff. Even in simple things that you might experience in your own daily life, you can actually share at work.
Yeah.
Like for me, for example, I'm a part of a friend group at work. Two of us are Adventists and the other 4 are not. But once a week, we used to have Bible study. They were open to it. I actually was pleasantly surprised. But it wasn't really my initiative. It was the other Adventist guy initiative. But for me, the next thing is when we start back school is invite them to church.
Yeah.
I just need to decide which
church.
Yeah. Because that's another topic there in itself. But
Fair enough.
Which church I'm in.
But once again, you're showcasing the same point which I'm trying to make, which is evangelism should be relational, not just event based.
Yeah.
I feel like at the moment, or it has been for a while, often our evangelism, our evangelistic efforts as a church body is mostly an event.
Straight to crusades and stuff like that.
Yeah. And not so much relationship. Next point is that evangelism must leave the church building. Jesus ministered in homes, on the road, by the sea, and in the villages.
Yeah.
Now, people can say that that's where the few word is coming, right?
But we had a theme this year or a couple years. Has been everything church without walls. The whole idea we're supposed to be going out. Church is supposed to happen, outdoors, all these sort of things. I think we have that emphasis, but I'm not sure if it really taking off. I think people become so used to being within the walls that we forget, that there's a community out there that we are meant to serve.
Mm. Luke 19:10. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Wait for another country. He went to them.
The 99 was in the fold, and he went out looking for the one.
Right.
Yeah.
So our evangelism should also showcase us trying to get out and
Looking for that one.
save those persons who, but I feel like we focus so much on having things inside of our own fold.
I guess it's just a matter of being comfortable.
Mm.
I also want to add, when I was growing up, there was something that I always used to hear in church, that you need to do in reach before you could do outreach. And I think the church has become too focused on that, where we're trying to solve inside first before we go out.
I don't know if I agree with you. Trying to solve and save me or something. But anyhow, if people ain't coming to the church should go to them. So what's some potential initiatives or ideas that you think that could be us going to people instead of waiting on them to come to our churches on the Sabbath?
I think something that was said earlier, this is the ideal time now, school time.
Yeah.
Be a presence in the community. I think last year, a church in the South, around this time, they created some packages and stuff for the children, and they went into the community and asked people to come out and all that kind of stuff. I think that was nice. I've heard the barber initiative thrown around, and I feel like that could be impactful because not every parent can afford to
provide
send their
haircut.
child for a haircut.
Yeah.
And I feel as if the church was active in the community and had relationships, we could go to the same barbershop and ask the man, look, how about bringing your barbershop in the community? Every 3 heads free or something.
Yeah.
Or the church will something. Like,
Mhm.
but if you don't
my-
have the relationship,
Yeah.
it makes these things a little challenging.
The only answer I came up with for the haircut thing is if the church was to issue like gift cards for the barbershop and the barbershops in the area or whatever, so that the children with these things are able to get their haircuts free, so that because they don't want a situation where the barber losing during his peak time. Yeah,
True.
but if the church were to say we organize this thing with the barbershops in the area, where if any children come to get their haircuts between this time and this time, that the haircuts will be free based on the gift card.
Be covered by the church or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is why I feel like a special guest for you.
Mm.
This is why these types of conversations can be very disappointing. We should know that Joyanne can't afford, and they call it names, but this is not what I know.
Yeah.
But the church should know that Joyanne cannot afford, because the church and Joyanne does have conversation. We's going to community regularly,
On a regular.
so we know when this time come. All right, Joyanne, listen, we know your situation here.
We got something here for you.
So that was like when he was answering the question earlier. My first thing was we need to understand what the community needs before we go out looking to provide things. Because sometimes you do things that you think might be necessary, but for the community, that's not necessarily what they want at the time. So I think the first thing is getting into community and maybe assessing the needs. Maybe there's some old people in the community that need assistance cleaning up around the house. People need house repairs, maybe house one painting, things like that. Is about getting out, having that relationship, assessing the needs, and then working to supply them.
We got a question in the chat, but before we get there, I would say I've been around Jerome where some of the same things that we were talking about have been done.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the issue is that you don't really have a systematic approach to continue doing it, right?
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
something that never
At
necessarily
the
ends.
At the same time,
Yeah.
I guess you have to sort of caveat what we're saying based on what the community services do
Mhm.
and other outreach for that's the benevolence fund
Mhm.
that the church collects. So I guess based on a general sense, there's a whole conversations going, but there are still organizations with each other that do these things.
Yeah. Fine. Question from Rolene in the chat. She asks, "Who's the church?"
Church are the people.
Because we're talking about all the things that the church should do.
Yeah, the church
this and the church.
Of course,
that,
the
so-
church are the people. But I guess at the same time, it's easier when it's organized together as opposed to a bunch of individual people just randomly doing things all over the place.
Mm.
That's
So
yeah.
for the purposes of our conversation right now, the church is the established body of believers. So this church at this location or this other church at this other location. Not
the
necessarily
community-based group.
just the people.
Yeah.
We got another question coming in from Paul. He says, "Is the goal of evangelism to get persons to attend my church or to accept God?" I ask because this may change what we see as success. If a person chooses to attend another church, did they fail?
That's actually a good question. And I think in our earlier definition of evangelism, we said the goal of persuading persons to accept the Christian faith, essentially. So not necessarily to join our church, but to accept Christ as their Lord and Savior. That's the first point. The question of if they fail, I guess the problem is, as you say, is how we see it. If it is that we're looking to increase the church role, the membership role, then if they go to a different church, then we can feel that we fail. But that's not necessarily what God counts. God is counting the membership at XYG Church.
That's a good point.
He's happy when we say this all the time, when one soul is saved, the heavens rejoicing.
Irrespective of the denomination.
So that's like you don't have a cell phone and a digital agent come at your house and show you all the benefits of having a cell phone. And then you go buy a floor phone. How you think the digital agent can feel?
That I now have an opportunity to invite you to digital because you now start using the cell phone. So I need to work harder to show why digital will be better than flow. So at least I get a start in. So now that I get you in the church doors, now I can work on you the other way now to say, listen, this is the way I want you in it.
Yeah. we got more questions coming in from Paul. So he says, "How easy is it to evangelize to people who you already have a relationship with? Can a relationship built with conversation as the goal be a genuine relationship?"
Oh, the relationship with conversion as the goal.
Conversion. Yes.
So the relationship we're talking about is not one based on conversion. So Lewin was talking about the example of me and him playing tennis, having that relationship, right? It's not necessarily that he planning, the conversion at the end of the day. It's about actually building a genuine relationship and inviting the person to church. It's simple as that. It's not necessarily that you doing it just because you eventually want to get me to church, and if it ain't working out, then the relationship will end.
I gotta think some more on this. That was a good question.
So I feel that to go back to Paul's first question, if you have this relationship with the person and the person then chooses to go to another denomination, your motive was to get the person to accept Christ or to choose Christ.
Yeah.
So you should not then stop reaching out and having a relationship with the person, because it then says to the person,
that was the only reason
to come to this
your church. Yeah. Which can even send them back further away from God altogether.
Yes.
We got some more comments coming in. So Rolene said, "How much easier would it be for the larger church body if individuals who live in the community engaged in personal evangelism?"
True.
That's assuming that majority of the members live in the area.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
irrespective of that, you live in an area. I mean, we're talking about Barbados right now, right? Barbados fairly small. They got a Adventist church or two close by to everybody for the most part. So you could easily evangelize in that area, Tristan, irrespective of if that's your church or not.
Actually, I read the question wrong.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I understand now.
It would be easier rolling. One, let's assume for the personal conversation that we all live close to the churches that we attend. So the areas where the churches should be impacting are our communities. And we, as a result, have developed personal relationships with the people that live close to us. So then we already have personal relationships with these people. It's easy now for me to say, hey, John, that I just come and help you cut grass every once in a while. I got this thing coming up and I invite you to come to church. That should be way more easier. And then you got all the different members in there, all the different members from around the community doing so as well. So then when you got, I don't know, community guests there, they got more people than chairs because everybody invite people that they have a genuine relationship with.
True.
And attendance is at 200%.
True.
So I would say, yes, that makes it way easier.
But I guess I feel like sometimes you also want to see that the grouping itself is also doing something. I don't know. So yes, the individual is important, but sometimes you want to know that, you know, XYZ Church is in the community doing this work, as in some broader grouping of people. So in just because you might bring it up, oh, that's just that person that's doing that. But it's nice to see that the church itself is actually functioning as well. So they're not knocking the point, just adding.
Kimberly Fort also wants to add to the point that Paul made, which was how much easier would it be to evangelize without looking for church membership as a primary goal?
It would be much easier.
Like, imagine how much. That's so crazy for you though. Like, you just evangelizing because you know what?
That's
Jesus
what
died for us.
Me to do. Yeah.
And we want to share him with you. And we want you to ultimately become saved. You know, so we just want to share Jesus with you. We don't go a crusade coming up 2 weeks from now, so we ain't really out here to get you to come to that. But you know, we just think that this is something that's important, and we want everybody to know or get the opportunity to be saved as a result.
Yeah.
So we just, you know, but you know,
but again,
and we're not just going out giving up priority magazines.
so that question, Jerome read a text that we actually use as the
Great Commission.
Yeah.
That's
our go-to text when we speaking about evangelism.
Mm-hmm.
And no part of the text is, "Go ye therefore and bring people into the church."
Like I guess the making disciples part,
Right. So,
but
you can
yes,
make
it's not
disciple.
we're not bringing them into the church.
So if you bring the person to Christ, that person now has joined the army of God to do His work.
Yeah,
They can go and get somebody else to come and be a disciple.
yeah,
And that's how it spreads. I think we've lost the focus somewhat because this one is a ticklish situation where should we be doing it to bring them to the church or should we not?
I guess sometimes even when you hear, like when we're talking about crusades and stuff like that, we hear how many numbers we want to get baptized. We got these goals, and I understand
And if you baptize the most, you get a gift.
Yeah, I understand the whole idea of these KPIs. You know, you measure your success by this. Okay, but is that really the aim though, or is the aim planting seeds in the community to try to bring people, even if it doesn't happen at that crusade, maybe 2 weeks down the road after the crusade end, somebody walk into the church and say, you know, during that crusade, I started to get impacted and I just want to attend.
Listen, I want to join this conversation, but then we got comments in the chat too, right? We can try to do both. I am amazed by that approach, which is we just trying to share Jesus with you. We're just trying to evangelize. We will let you to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. If you do, that's you. That's up to you. If you don't, it's still cool. It's still fine. All right? Yeah. We don't have an event coming up, and we're not trying to get you to make this decision to join the church or to accept Jesus in this time period. We just genuinely sharing. We don't. It's a no pressure situation. If you come, great. If you don't, still great. We would have provided you with the opportunity to make a decision if you so choose. You may have made a decision within a particular time period, lovely, or you didn't make a decision, but irrespective, the information was shared with you, and you had a choice to do so if you decided to, right? I feel like if we had to take that approach, that feels simple, that feel great. Like,
because it's simple.
like I feel happy knowing that we could potentially take that approach.
And I think that we would be surprised because the response, in my mind, looking at it, the response would be greater. When you approach somebody with no pressure,
No
No strings attached,
no strings
essentially.
attached.
I keep making this example, and like I need to do more things so I can have more things to talk about. But I remember back in the day when I was community services leader, we went outside on Valentine's Day and share out cupcakes.
Yeah.
Now, everybody think that because the Adventists outside, they got something that they want we to invite. They got something that we want to invite into. But that wasn't the case this time. One of the few times that wasn't the case, right? We just thought it was Valentine's Day, and it's a good opportunity to share love with people, seeing that love does be the theme around that time. And we coming out as a church to showcase or share love to you as people in our community. Now, people obviously didn't know our intentions when we went outside. So people see we coming outside and we trying to get them attention. Nah, I busy, man. I can't come right now. You know, I really got something. Nah,
Yeah.
this is not what we coming to you. You know, we just coming to drop off saying with you and let you know that the church here down in the area cares.
And
If
then-
you,
Right?
if
and
you
then
want
the
to pass
person-
through.
The person's gear then just come down.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then that same person that had that grass to go and cut and then washing machine to go and put clothes in
Come and stand and talk
had
to you for
time to
15
talk
minutes.
with you. You understand? Because all of a sudden, we ain't wanting them for them. We come to give them something. What we can come to give them some Jesus
No,
without expecting anything from them.
similarly to what you're saying, a few years ago, Global Youth Day. There's when it used to be you do it in your different districts, or then you come in town and have the concert.
I mean, the good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a part of one in the St. James area where fruit packages were created and stuff. And we were in the community. And the amount of persons that, because obviously you're seeing bananas, apples, oranges, grapes, and all that in a bag. The first thing people thinking is how much it is. And we got onto a yellow minivan. Stop the van stop. Conductor thinking, yeah, you got passengers here. We get on for the van and distributed the packages to everybody on the van, including the driver and the conductor. Persons spending their purse to take out money, we told them no. We explained it's like Global Youth Day, whatever, we just giving out to the community. And when you saw the faces of the people, the conductor couldn't even understand it because I don't think
Ain't nothing that's come for free no more.
exactly. And we are walking through town with ice lollies and water. I just giving them out, and people like amazed because it's like, one, nothing for free, or if you give me something for free, you want something in return. And you say to the person, no, we're just giving it to you because, and you walk away. When you look back, the person's still staring at you because like
They
these people are
confuse them.
serious.
Yeah.
But now you have created a situation where if you just consistently do that in the community,
People get to know you
people can start to move.
and they get curious.
But I think we got to say all wrong.
Well, people watching the stream right now, hopefully somebody takes away something from the conversation that we're having.
You got some comments that you got.
Yeah, we got some comments in the chat. So to Chelsea or Rolling? Oh no, Rolling. Rolling had a point here. They had queued up. So Rolling said this: the success of the goal of the church at large is directly linked to the commitment of individual members and their buy-in to the larger goal. So
I think the buy-in might be the issue.
mm,
I think people ain't necessarily seeing the mission, and so they're not taking it as seriously.
so based on Rolling saying,
You
members
gotta
gotta be committed to this thing.
So then I guess again back to the same point Tristan's talking about, you need to do the in-reach before you can do the outreach.
Mm.
You need to get people, I guess, like, should we also provide some level of training?
Yeah, sure, for sure.
because I going back to the same introversion point. Like some people just ain't good at associating with people.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might need to explain to them, you know, how maybe you could approach somebody, how maybe you could share. I don't know.
But why do we need that person to do the same thing as another? Well, we can't find another role for them.
Or
Got
why can't they find their role?
Yeah,
No,
that's
I think we add, because we add so much pressure to this evangelism thing. We just take really personal aspect.
Personal ministry.
Yeah, because
Paul was talking about.
I
that.
gotta go now and I gotta recite. Will you give to me before at 3:30 before 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is so.
For the revelation.
Robotic. When I go to you, yeah, what going on? I just here to talk to you.
Mm.
Like, we take away the personal aspect because everybody must be on the same page. And I was at a training recently.
Where you was?
I was at a training. The training was at me because I didn't know it was happening. And it was this ball by ball coverage of what is supposed to happen. And it gave me the impression that for all these years, the kid didn't know what we're doing. Because you must follow this sequence. A, B, C, D. And the person thought that when you do this, this is great evangelism. And for me, it's actually not.
But then the problem is, like, for somebody that might not be good on their feet, when they do all these things and the person doesn't respond in the way that the trainer tell them how to, that the person will respond.
If they get curveball.
If they get curveball, then they'll do.
But you're going to ask you a question that actually come at number 7, the brand at number 3. And
I wasn't ready for that yet.
So we're taking the personal aspect of this though.
Listen, right? I just remember something. Remember, Jerron? We went out in your district at the time.
Yeah,
I mean, when you call people like there, this FYI.
They call kissing?
And that worked, big man.
Yeah, it did.
Like, we interact with so much people once again because of the approach that we took.
Yeah.
And people really enjoy that. Like, we had butts and thing too. When they did the first time, I had the butts, but when I with them, we had butts and people was willing to take the things.
People took the cut case in the books.
Yeah, like that worked so well.
Yeah. And it's just about planting a seed.
Somebody said in response to you, Tristan, or Rolina as well, that people were buying if we allowed persons to use their giftedness.
Yeah.
So, we can't be salesmen like granted this person here.
True.
We should all be utilizing different strategies. Coming to Chelsea's point, in an effort to evangelize.
And we talk about it, time like the body of Christ got different parts, and all these parts contribute to make the whole body. But we don't treat it like that. We try to treat everybody like there's an arm.
Yeah,
but everybody
want to be a brain. Nobody want to be the hands and the feet.
Yeah.
Boy. Next comment coming in from Chelsea. Let me try and catch up on the comments that are in the chat. Chelsea says that she hasn't heard us speak about strategy. Should evangelism be intentional? And if yes, what strategy should we be deploying?
And I guess you could bring in the next comment as well.
All right, next comment from Rolene.
No,
from Chelsea.
Yeah, because I think she sort of answered herself in a way.
This is chat GPT here coming through. A broad scattershot approach exposes more people to the message, but often yields lower engagement.
True.
Targeted relational evangelism requires more effort, but frequently produces deeper connection.
True. So the same thing with the crusades. We have these broad crusades. We essentially cast the net pretty far, and we just see who we get. Whereas if we went with a fishing rod, we get that one fish, and we get that 2 fish, and we,
or the line got many hooks.
But is it that we don't care to sit down and strategize to possibly or potentially yield the best results?
I think we got a playbook, and the playbook is this crusade. And so we've been doing this for 12,000 years, and this is what's been working.
All right. So I think there's another point they had, but we kind of let the conversation go by. Based on the comments, which is fine. We can still get through the stuff that we're talking about. Should the methods that were utilized previously change? No.
But that's where it was starting when we started. You asked like what it should look like, and they said it should be technology based as well. We live in a digital age, and I don't think we taking advantage of that. We know because of COVID, it forced us to get on YouTube because YouTube was the devil before, but no, it is of God. And so it forced us to get into the digital age. Now every church got an Instagram page. Everybody focused about streaming and how many viewers we got. You know?
All right, so let me get through these comments. Then I see that Paul sent me a voice note, so we can add that to the production shortly, and then we can pass forward the conversation.
Cool.
All right, so Rolene says a little while ago, she thinks that the goal of every Christian, she thinks that personal evangelism should be the goal of every Christian. Personal ministry should be a natural outworking of living for Christ. Okay, I could work with you on that.
So am I not living for Christ if I'm not doing personal ministry?
I don't know that's what she's saying.
No,
but
I'm wondering if that's the case as well. Because if I have received this important message, something I deem to be so important,
yeah,
I should automatically want to share it.
okay. We had this conversation when we used to do lesson study.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we were talking about the Apple products or something, right?
Yeah. You want to tell people.
Look, I got a converted member here. Look, no, right? No, I experienced this Apple product. I think this is really great. And, you know, I want everybody else to also
sharing
experience the
this
same thing, right? So I talking about it all the time. I showing people all the time. Every chance I get, I sharing what could potentially happen. And that is because I would have now experienced this really great thing. And I am so excited about it. I want everyone to know that this is my experience.
Exactly.
Right? The same should be happening with us at church.
Actually, you shouldn't stop there.
Yeah.
So you were persistent.
Yeah.
And you're showing off the Apple product.
Mm-hmm.
And how seamlessly they must work together.
Mm-hmm.
And you left it up to the person who's now converted
To make their choice.
to make a decision. You didn't force them to buy it, but you would always plant that seed. So if something happened in the person who's now converted, their experience, and the phone that they had stopped working, then you'll come and say, I tell you should try the Apple product.
Mm.
But it's not a force.
Yeah.
No, the person then decides, you know what? This boy always talking about this Apple product. Now. Let me try.
Let me give it a shot.
Person going to give it a try.
No,
And now the person is a disciple of Apple.
And gonna
and
tell
now
everybody
talking to
else.
other people Apple.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing here. Where somebody experiences grace. Talk about grace all the time. But I ain't forcing you to choose grace.
Right.
I just telling you, I can remind every now and again, you know, if you to choose grace, that probably would happen. But it's your decision.
Uh-huh.
And then the person goes now and say, you know what? I wonder if I choose grace, if something will change.
All right, let me get a chance.
The person going to try grace and realize this grace ain't working here. So now when their friend got challenged, you know you should choose grace.
Try Christ.
And
I
listen,
said, no
right?
man tell you can't church, you know.
I guess the main issue then is, did we have that personal experience with Christ to begin with?
That's where my mind takes me.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue.
How am I so willing to talk about Apple?
Pouring from an empty cup, essentially.
I have you to talk about Apple, but I ain't getting that same energy with grace.
All right. So we got 2 voice notes now, and we still got the comments in the chat. So I can just press along with the comments in the chat.
Yeah, we could.
Quick, and then we can get the voice notes quick.
Okay, cool.
All right. So Rolling also says that the programs and initiatives of the organized church should just be an opportunity to magnify what we already do.
True.
Personally. Paul asked some questions in the chat, so I can actually left them out, and we can jump to Paul's voice note that he sent. So let's get this here rolling.
So I want to make a voice note to share, Luan. One thing that to piggyback on what Rolene is saying, what the individual does is important. There's one thing that I find happens all the time, in that a church has a person ministry leader, and that person ministry leader decides a strategy for the entire church, and then the church is judged on how well they align with that person's goals and plans and stuff like that. But what, per se, if you as a personal ministries leader was to stop and assess the actual personal ministries of the members of the church first, see what they're doing, because many times we're seeing people, they will be bringing people to church all the time, bringing children to church all the time, bringing the family members to church all the time, or doing their own Bible study at home and stuff like that. So what if personal ministries leaders took the time to kind of focus and see what the individual members were doing, and then put efforts and resources into helping that member or those members or these small groups or whatever do it more effectively. Like if they need a location, help them find a location. If they need to get snacks or food for certain events, do that. If they need transportation to get the person from thing to church or from wherever to wherever, help them with that. What about if we approach it from that perspective rather than looking at it from the perspective of I have to have all these different programs and what's not that people got to subscribe to for it to be effective.
That's some good stuff there.
Yeah.
I've heard the title personal ministries leader, etc., but I never really heard of persons actually encouraging personal ministry.
Yeah.
Or as Paul say, providing solutions to potential issues that you may have, right? Or providing additional resources to aid in your personal approach to ministry. That's really good.
That's a new perspective.
That's really good, Paul. That's really good stuff. Rolling also agrees and says that that's an excellent approach.
I agree.
And yeah, Rolling, we agree with you too.
So the aim of the personal ministries then would be to magnify the efforts already being done by the membership.
Yeah, but somebody messaged me and say you can't track that, right? So that's probably why you don't get no big push.
The Lord tracking it, and that's all that's important.
But we got another voice note coming in now from Rolling, so let's hear what she has to say.
I wanted to say that I disagree that crusades are the only method that we have or our largest tool for evangelism. I think that as an Adventist church, we have a strategy that we have been using over the years. And the real question is, for me, how can we modify, update, modernize, restructure what currently exists to suit the current generation? For example, Community Services Department, Possibilities Ministries, Pathfinder Adventurer Clubs, AY departments, among all the other things that are actually tools of evangelism and a part of the structure of the church. In what ways should members be, or even us as young people, how can we relook these avenues to meet the needs of the people today?
Boy, we ain't gonna send this thing to some people. Yeah, that's another good point, Rolling. Clearly we need to switch up the approach. But I feel like this may have been said time and time again. But we still see these evangelistic series as the main means of evangelism. Yeah. And I think that may be the biggest issue that we face today.
So I guess her point is that we're not seeing the other work essentially being mostly emphasis placed on the series in a sense.
Yeah.
The work is being done in other places. As you said, the community services, Possibilities Ministry, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But we place a lot of emphasis
on the crusade.
Crusades and stuff like that.
You know, growing up, I've heard persons who, I would say, took their Christianity seriously. I would hear them say something. When I was young, I am saddened at XYZ or what they're experiencing in the church. And I think I just had that moment just now. I am saddened because we have been here in a conversation on YouTube, and we have come up with valuable solutions or viable ways of reaching people in the community.
And the conversation never done yet.
Right. But yet, persons who are being paid, if you go higher up in the church or organization, and then leadership in the local churches. Yes, I understand that the church is made up of people, but at the same time, people have been put in positions to do certain things. So how is it that we can sit here, three of us in the studio and whoever else on YouTube, and we come up with these ideas, grand ideas based on a Bible text, but yeah, it's not happening the way it's supposed to.
I guess maybe it's the issue that we start to have a bit of a top-down approach to the way we more or less evangelize, in that we wait for word to come from at the conference level. So, for example, when the president sets the theme for the year and all these sort of things, so we wait for the instruction to come down, and there might not be the feedback necessarily going back that direction, or maybe feedback is not heard, I don't know.
All right, one way.
Yeah,
I want to answer your question, but I think where my brain going right now, we can take you off topic.
okay.
Because it's a good question. But then you have situations where churches would have their plan, but then when the pastor comes with his or her plan, and then the church kind of gives way to what the pastor wants to do. But then in 2 years, another pastor can come with their plan.
Mm-hmm.
So then the church never really gets to
Straight.
mobilize or do what they want to do. So
And they got the answer for that. The church need to have a plan. The pastor come in after spending X amount of time or whatever, and he see this what happening. He need to fit whatever it is he got into this plan that we got as a church. But yeah, anyhow,
Simon got a point here that
you want to jump to that?
it's pretty interesting. I guess he's trying to say that this sort of the mentality that we have.
All right. So Simon says, in any organization, it is better to fail at what is considered tried and true than to push the envelope with a new concept and make people uncomfortable. Yeah.
So we used to the usual methods.
We used to clearing land, you understand? And spraying for centipedes and putting it on moral so that when it rain fall, you can still drive, you know what I'm saying?
pitching the tent.
And you don't stick it in the mud. Yeah? And telling people to come outside their house on a night under a tent for about 2 hours. So that man shows them for 45 minutes as the main means of evangelism. And that's what we like. Well,
That's what we're used to.
I think that's my last point for a little bit. Because I didn't expect the conversation to go this way. That's the truth. But no, it got my brain working because we're realizing that there's a change where the tent pitching thing ain't really happening no more.
I was actually gonna make that point.
We moving into churches now.
Into the church now.
but why?
It's a series now.
Well,
How it's like-
I've heard people talking about the government.
the government.
Yeah, they got some noise thing.
Yeah,
And
it's pollution,
all
right?
kind of thing people saying. However,
God about keep the other day. What you mean?
yeah, but that's
one day.
worldly. That worldly.
Uh,
So my thing is, if we were doing evangelism the way we're supposed to,
we need that.
let's say that the government did implement something, it should not affect us because we're doing it with personal ministry. We're getting community and we're meeting people on a one-on-one. So even if you say no more tent pitching, it shouldn't affect me.
Unaffected.
Yeah.
But clearly, we gotta go from it's a structural thing here. So we can go from tent to church, as opposed to just continuing what we would have been doing before.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my point is very interesting.
Yeah.
So somebody messaged me and said, the powers that be have an integrated report that is sent in every quarter. There is a question where they ask how many members are personally discipling a friend or new believer as a mentor. Maybe that's a question. Is that there? I don't know. Don't know. Yeah, I understand where someone coming from, and I don't know. Boy, we need a change. Comments from the chat. Let me get through them quickly. Rolene says, I think a part of the problem is that we prefer the corporate body to do the heavy lifting to fill the void of our personal lifestyle. I understand. I get that point. Paul says here, I would go further than that, Rolene. In many churches, it's the corporate model that is the most trustworthy. A lot of people are scared that individual efforts will create offshoots and breakaways. Anyhow, moving forward. Digital evangelism is no longer optional. People spend hours online every day. Y'all online with us now for the last hour and 5 minutes. All right? We got digital highways now. Every member can be a digital missionary if we choose to by using WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, podcasts, etc.
So all these older persons that send out these good morning messages every day with these weird looking gifs or gifts, however you pronounce it.
Nah, left that out.
No, I just saying no. Use that. Use instead of that. Send a Bible verse.
Or create a strategic way for them to also share.
Yes.
Since they're willing to.
Since they're willing to share, since give them something to share.
But is that really going to be effective?
Kimberly says share she devotions.
No, because the thing is, her devotions belong on her shirt.
Sure.
It don't make a difference in length. I think the issue is the frequency. If you send me something every day, the first day I can read it, second day I read it, third day I probably won't.
But here
I
we
can
go.
archive you.
Chelsea Jordan, you supposed this thing her status like a little devotion. It was a devotion at some point, and then it moved to like just some thought provoking points, right, or inspirational stuff, right? And she was posting on her status. I was like, "Fam, send me these though." So then she just send me every day, and I used to look at them every day. Posting on your status, Jerron, or on a Instagram channel or whatever, Instagram account or whatever else, isn't annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's on you to, one, have that in your feed, two, go and look at it if you choose to.
Yeah.
And it's not as annoying as them happy Sabbath messages that people want to send you. Right? It's people that are sending me things.
So listening
Right.
to what you're saying,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I was a digital disciple
Wait.
because I don't do it often, but I just post certain things on my status.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized that people who I would not even deem to be, this may sound bad, but like Christian,
Mm-mm.
will heart what I post. Or people will comment on it. And when I look at the people that commented on it, I'm like, you actually sit down and watch this? But I wasn't doing it for them.
Yeah.
Something was impactful to me. And I said, you know what? The best way to get to whoever wants to see it, because at the end of the day, you choose if you want to see it or not.
Yeah.
I post it, people look at it. I have a person on my phone that every time I post something, I just receive a message, a voice note. Don't forget to send.
Mm.
And I just be like, in my mind, it's not that serious, but clearly not listening. This digital discipleship thing is actually something that we should tap into.
And we had a lot of these experiences when we was doing the STUDY7. People said that they post on their status and persons they would not expect to be interested in this thing used to carry on conversations about it on WhatsApp because they shared the videos or whatever. So I mean, we started probably missing the mark on the digital side of the things.
Or like Chelsea, I say, your Chelsea, I say, her current boss used to watch it.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised about that. So my question though for you guys online and for us here as well, feel free to also send us voice notes to my WhatsApp if you want us to play it back for you guys and share with others viewing. To answer this question, can someone genuinely be won to Christ through social media? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Can someone be genuinely won to Christ through social media?
Yeah, why not? I'm sure somebody advertising a product on social media will get you to buy it. The way somebody talking about Christ on social media can plant a seed and, at least cause you to further investigate this thing.
All right. So based on your knowledge, and this is for everyone as well, would you say that the church is or has invested in using social media as a actual means of evangelism?
I think now we're getting there. I think we got a lot, especially young persons associated with the AOA and stuff like that. They trying to get the churches on Instagram or Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're moving in that direction.
We're moving, but we ain't get there yet.
We're moving.
Moving.
I think maybe most, I don't say most, but a lot of churches are online now.
So, but is it as simple as just posting a service online? Because they got some churches online that me and my sisters met do that because your service ain't good. So why would we think that because it is simply placed on an online platform that it would be beneficial?
Well, so we got to start somewhere, one.
Yeah.
Because you never know who you might reach with what you consider to be a bad quality production. I would say. You never know who you can reach.
So something's better than nothing.
Yes, but I don't think we're supposed to stay at the something
Okay.
stage.
Should every church have a digital evangelism ministry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're living in a digital age. I think we need to move towards that direction.
Should the conference have a digital director?
They got one.
I guess the communications leader does their role, or media leader, or whatever.
So the communications director, his part of his portfolio is, or should be, the digital.
All that's communications.
This way we'll say. There isn't necessarily a specific guideline to say if you're the communication director, you should make sure your churches have Instagram and have streams on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. But any good communication director worth their salt would encourage the churches to implement different strategies utilizing the technology, which is now a form of communication to evangelize.
Yeah. I think we got sort of a
Me rolling?
comment there that could sort of bring the discussion down.
All right, so Rolling says this. Who is responsible for the change that we need?
And that's the most important question there. I think a lot of times they point fingers, but it might come on to us.
To answer that
You want to
question,
see in the church.
I just struggle with these types of questions now, because again, you're in a position for a reason. Why you gotta sit down and do your job too?
Because he called the evangelism is a personal call.
Yes.
And yes, I understand that the organization has its role to play, but I think we established that
Good.
the organization can also emphasize the work that we do as personal.
Good. So there's three of us in here right now, plus who's on YouTube. Let me just use this for a reference. All of us in here on the same page.
yeah.
Discussing right now, this is what the church needs. Who creates the change? We do. So my question is, how do we do it?
I ain't got the answer for that one.
I mean, I'm missing it. I understand.
No, so
Who
he's
is
saying
responsible for the change we need?
yes.
Let's say the answer is us.
Yes.
Yes.
How do we do it?
I ain't got the answer. And this is why.
How you mean how?
How do we bring about the change if we have established that we are the ones responsible for the change?
Okay.
With that said, how can we, who we have already identified as the ones responsible for the change, bring about said change?
Aren't we doing it now? Literally in this room?
Will we change?
What have we changed? in
One
this room?
camera and 3 mics. I think that's a start.
Okay.
So if you look at it from, okay, I understand what you're saying, but let's look at it from the broader church now. How do we do it?
I think it's go back to the same point that Paul was making, that now the members that doing the things, we doing this thing, it takes now the broader organization to support these efforts.
This is what I would say. I don't know that my response is the answer, but
You pull me into that.
but this is what I would say. Man, if you know me, you know I got a lot of problems with a lot of things.
Yeah, we know.
As a result of that, I try to bring about a lot of solutions to a lot of things as well, because I get bothered. So how can we bring about the change, Tristan? As you know, I sent to you the other day. I was telling Jerome about it. Tonight. A proposal to our church, right? I'd like this. I've been going to this church for a little while now, and I see both the pros and cons to the establishment. So after suffering for the past few months, I felt like, you know what, we need to put things in place to make things better. So I wrote a proposal that I need to get sent to the elders first, which I want, then to the church board, and then after discussing with these two entities separately, I want it to go to the church membership, get their feedback, and then work on implementation, right? In my mind, that is an approach that can be taken to bring about change. Will it bring about change? I don't know. But I at making an effort.
Yes.
Simon also has a response here to chime in.
I agree with Simon's response.
And he says, change happens at your local level. When things begin to work, you have done your part. Eventually, people at the higher level may or may not notice. But the important thing is to improve your space.
I agree.
Yeah?
I agree. I think that's where we need to start. It doesn't necessarily end there.
Start at home.
So
But
what is
start at home.
what is my space?
Your church, your personal ministry. From there, you can invite people into that.
I think we need to have a part 2.
Part two. The part 2 of the conversation I wanna talk then. Anyhow.
Because in my mind, this is not as simple as what we were saying. Because if you use Lewin's example, he saw a need for change. He wrote a proposal. He has to send it to the church board.
Yes.
He has to send it to the elders.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Uh-huh.
bring it to the church at large.
Yeah.
Suppose it gets stuck at the first group of people and they say no. What then happens?
All right, before you continue, Paul, I did see your voice note, but Rolene says that she has a response for you specifically, Tristan. So we'll start with Rolene's, and then we can get back to some of the comments, and then also Paul's voice note.
I want to respond to the question that Tristan asked with a brief example in terms of how do we affect the change we want to see by giving an example of somebody who I know at my church. Now, this person has consistently been exercising their personal evangelism, or at least not exercising, but it's evident to me because almost every single week they bring one of their best friends to church. They bring their sister to church with them. And in the last conversation I had with them, they were saying to me, I am now trying to bring my dad. For me, that is a part of what the change looks like. It is individual people saying, I love Jesus. I want people in my life to know what it's like to serve this Jesus who I love and who loves me and who died to save me. That for me, that is a part of it. Is everybody deciding, but I want everybody to be saved. So what can I do? What is it that God has given me and put on my heart to do that he can use me to bring people to him?
Change starts with you.
All right. I agree. I agree with the voice note, 100%. And I will use that voice note as fuel to
bring about change.
I don't see that bring about change, but I agree with it because when I do personal ministry and I reach to people close to me and they come to church as a result, I have created change in their life. I ain't create change in the church. I've brought the person to a point where they realize, you know what, this is something that I want to try. They come and they accept. Good for them.
All right. I can play Paul's voice note and then a comment from Rolene. Then we can start to wrap up the conversation. Because it's Jerome bedtime soon gone.
You're right.
So to be frank, many questions asked, who can bring about the change? The answer is really us. That for me, that's the most truthful answer they can be, is us. One thing we have to consider, though, is the question, is God calling me to form a ministry that touches thousands or millions, or is God calling me to a ministry that touches those who are closest to me? Maybe ask what we should do. Don't necessarily think that I gotta do something great or amazing or that is thing, because people love to think about this the mega church model, but the reality is that there's a lot of things wrong with the mega church model, because it yes, you can see the people, but it misses the individual touch. The thing that brings me to church or brings me to God, that individual person that cares to me as an individual, not as a number or as a tithe envelope. So the thing is, I got to come to grips with our reality. Again, the model that we have employed has led us to a certain space where success means many people at the same time. We look at the model where we see then Peter spoke and thousands of people joined the church at one time, but we missed the model in Acts 4, where eating with people, talking to people, studying with people during the week caused the church to grow every single week. So I might not be called to touch thousands of people on my entire contact list, but I can work with one person or I can work with two people.
Fair point, Paul. Rolling also says here that she thinks that what we're doing here is part of the change.
I agree.
That we should believe it and keep at it.
I agree.
But
I mean, I think we missed a question though.
Which one?
Tristan's question. He was saying, suppose you carry this thing to the church, what level of the church word shoot it down? I mean, I don't think there's anything you can do. You trade. You trade. And maybe you take it somewhere else. And that's it. What else you could do?
I think that's probably the bigger problem where we see the need for change. We try to bring it about, but then it got brick wall, stone wall. Yeah, but all we could do is try. Yeah,
I agree.
Rolling says here also, outside of posting on statuses, what does an effective digital ministry look like? To answer that question, Rolling, you got a myriad of things that you could do. One, we ain't posting on statuses. You should probably create a social media account, something like YouTube or Facebook, not your Facebook, or Instagram, where you can engage with people. Either by you could do like 30-second devotions. You could give inspirational insight for people during the week. Regular church services or access to that can also be provided there, and a whole set of other things that
even music. It's a hymn channel.
Like trying to bring back up. That also helps. And it's like a systematic approach with multiple areas all at once. It can't just be like post, text, quote. It is a systematic approach with multiple areas that are used to evangelize. But I actually still trying to work that out because they actually just set up one for a church there. So they're trying to probably plan place to work on that. Rolling says, do we need the church board to serve and impact the lives of people in our congregation? That for you, Tristan.
I can answer that the part too.
All right, cool. All in all, though, I got so much other points to make here, but imagine if every member of our church intentionally disciple just one person over the next year. Right? I think one of the biggest points that was made here tonight was the fact that personal ministry could make a really big impact if we used to put as much effort behind that as we do for the clearing grass pitching tent initiatives. Yeah. How different would the church look like and the community by the end of 2027 if we had to take an approach to this disciple one person? Yeah. The mission didn't change, the gospel didn't change, Jesus didn't change, but the world has changed. And our approaches to how we do certain things need to as well. Yeah. There's so many other points I wanted to make. And we could probably have a part 2 for real. But I would say the biggest point so far, based on the conversation that we had, was that we really need to relook this approach to personal ministry. Everybody don't know what the personal ministry department is doing at church. Outside of getting people to go outside and share our priorities. But Paul has shared a voice note here that was really eye-opening for me. If you really had to take insight from the approach that he suggested, like imagine how things could really be in a year's time. But yeah. Any closing comments from you
I
guys?
think you should play Paul voice note
Again to the end.
so we can cement it in our minds.
Let me bring it back up here.
So I want to make a voice note to share, Luan. One thing that to piggyback on what William is saying, what the individual does is important. There's one thing that I find happens all the time, in that a church has a person, ministry leader, and that person basically decides a strategy for the entire church, and then the church is judged on how well they align with that person's goals and plans and stuff like that. But what per se, if you as a personal ministries leader was to stop and assess the actual personal ministries of the members of the church first, see what they're doing, because many times we're seeing people, they will be bringing people to church all the time, bringing children to church all the time, bringing the family members to church all the time, or doing the own Bible study at home and stuff like that. So what if personal ministries leaders took the time to kind of focus and see what the individual members were doing, and then put efforts and resources into helping that member or those members or these small groups or whatever do it more effectively? Like if they need a location, help them find a location. If they need to get snacks or food for certain events, do that. If they need transportation to get the person from thing to church or from wherever to wherever, help them with that. What about if we approach it from that perspective rather than looking at it from the perspective of I have to have all these different programs and what's not that people got to subscribe to for it to be effective?
Yeah, I got some good stuff in there from Paul. I go through.
I think it's going back to the Great Commission. I think we need to make it our own personal mission. I think we hear it in church all the time, and so we think it's a mission for the church or the organization at large, but it's for us personally and I also hear some preachers making the point that there's another way that is also translated. So it's not necessarily go ye therefore into the world, but as you are going, as you're living your life, seek to make disciples of all men.
Yeah. Fair enough. I would say as we wrap up, I got through 3 of my 8 points tonight. But
part 2.
We could probably do a part 2 for sure. But it's clear that churches may need a strategic approach, according to Lisa here, to sort out the evangelism that they seem to employ. It can't just be like, there's what he's doing, there's what it is. A strategic approach needs to be tailored to the needs of the church, the membership that they have, in order to really get Jesus out there to the community that they're asked to serve. But yeah, a lot more could be done. But we can get we can talk about that next time.
Yeah,
part
sure.
2.
Yeah.
All right, cool. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining us again tonight. For those of you who may have come on for the first time tonight, we appreciate you coming on. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to get it to be on a more consistent basis, but life has happened a lot, so that has put a spoke in our wheels. But we're working on being more consistent, so that you guys will know when to look out for us. But for now, you guys could follow our WhatsApp channel that I just sent in the chat, so that you can be abreast as to when we are doing a live stream, so that you can come in and join the conversation. Also, just like we said with personal evangelism, feel free to share this link with one person, one of your friends, and encourage them to subscribe and watch our stream. The video is going to remain on YouTube. Yeah. And join us for the next time when we come on to have part 2 of this discussion. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you very much. We hope you have a happy Sabbath, and probably even take some of the points that we would have made here tonight into your discussions tomorrow at church at lunchtime, or whenever you get some free time to talk to some people, so that we could come back next time and have even more persons ready to share their points or bring solutions to the ever-evolving issue of the approach that we take regarding evangelism. Yeah. But thanks for coming through, and we hope to see you again in the future. Have a good night.